This weekend we got some really big news, and when I say big news, we're talking about the world's largest cruise ship. Welcome back to another video. If you're new to this channel, my name is Brandon. If you like cruise news, cruise vlogs, and ship tours, make sure you click that subscribe button down below and ding the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a new video. So yes, like I said, we are talking about the Wonder of the Seas today. Wonder of the Seas, if you do not know, is the next world's largest cruise ship. She's going to be even bigger than her sister, the Symphony of the Seas, and as well as all of the other Oasis class. And one thing I really find interesting is that each Oasis class has gotten slightly bigger than the other one, which is just kind of weird and kind of interesting to me. You can kind of like tell each one of them apart, which I really kind of find fascinating. Anyways, so the float out ceremony happened over the weekend for Wonder of the Seas. The float out ceremonies is basically the first time the ship will ever touch water. So during the float out ceremony, like I said, the ship touches water for the first time. The ship stays in a dry dock where all the blocks are put together, and then once everything is ready to go, they fill that dry dock up with water and basically lift the ship up and they tug it out over to what they call the wet dock, and that's where they're going to do the exterior fitting and the interior fitting as well. So now is when all the interior pieces go on inside the ship, as well as cleaning everything up and making it look very pretty on the outside. Because I mean, if you can't see by this picture, she does look great. She looks huge. Doesn't look like very pretty yet, which is, you know, expected by a ship that's not done yet. So a little bit of info on the Wonder of the Seas. Like I said, she's going to be the largest cruise ship in the world. She's going to weigh in at 230,000 tons, which is massive. It's a lot larger than the other ships in the Oasis class as well. That's about 5,000 tons larger than the original Oasis of the Seas, and about 2,000 tons larger than Symphony of the Seas, which is the current world's largest cruise ship. Now, Wonder of the Seas was originally planned to debut in 2021, which is next year, but unfortunately due to the certain circumstances that we are living through right now, that's not really happening. She's actually been delayed until next year in 2022. So about 6 or 9 months delayed now for the Wonder of the Seas, which is pretty unfortunate, but you know, when you're building a ship this large and you have to size down the way you're building things, it's gonna happen. And as we've seen with every other cruise ship, basically that's supposed to debut either this year or next year. I think the only ships that actually were finished on time in 2020 were like the 3 ships that were done before this even started. So like the Celebrity Apex, Scarlet Lady, and Pinot Iona was basically just about done when all this started happening. So it's kind of interesting. Pretty much every other ship that's launching later this year, or supposed to launch later this year, is not happening anymore. Carnival's Mardi Gras is delayed till February. Odyssey of the Seas, we'll actually touch on Odyssey later on in the video. Odyssey's been delayed. And one of the big things about Wonder of the Seas is that Wonder is actually heading over to China. She's going to launch and make her debut over in China. Now it's really strange, this far into the construction, we still don't have any bookings open for Wonder of the Seas, which is a little strange, but I can kind of see why, because with everything going on, they're doing a lot of cruise cancellations, so they can kind of, they're probably just going, all right, well, let's hold off on that. But it is pretty weird to see that the ship is so far along, but nothing is open as far as reservations for the ship yet. Wonder of the Seas has an all-new look to the Oasis class, completely different than any of her sisters. As you can see just by this photo right here, she looks completely different than Symphony, Oasis, any of the others. She's got a completely new look up top where the funnel is. The forward facing, like the solarium covering, is completely different. The aqua theater like has like a nice, like a really cool looking shell or like cage in it, which looked really, really cool. I love that, and I wish they would put that on the other ships as well in the Oasis class. Yeah, that's about all for the Wonder of the Seas though. It's just a huge construction milestone for her as she touched water for the very first time and is one step closer to being finished. So we are going to touch on Odyssey of the Seas as well, since she is still under construction as well. She was originally supposed to debut later this year in 2020, but of course we had a little bit of a mishap in the shipyard as well as everything going on as well. So with all that happened, kind of put the ship off for a few more months. Odyssey of the Seas is now going to be setting sail in April of 2021 instead of November of 2020. Now, if you don't know what happened with everything currently going on, not only were they not able to work on the ship quite as quickly because they didn't have as many people in the shipyard, there also was kind of a bit of a fire that started in the shipyard. It did a little bit of damage to the ship. The ship is okay. The shipyard is fine. But it did do a little bit of damage, but it's not going to affect anything, of course, whenever the ship is ready. So really the only thing is that it delayed the ship. But I think given what's going on right now, I think the ship was probably going to be delayed a little bit to begin with before that even happened, so who knows. But Odyssey of the Seas is, of course, the first Quantum class ship debuting in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale. Instead of debuting in Fort Lauderdale like she was supposed to in November, she's going to debut in the Mediterranean for her first summer season, which is, about the time where she's going to launch. But after she completes that season over in Europe, she's going to come into Fort Lauderdale like she was supposed to this year, and she's going to sail out of Fort Lauderdale every week, and she's going to do 6 and 8 night cruises, which is really cool. Another ship that we're going to have an update on within the Royal Caribbean fleet is Grandeur of the Seas. So Grandeur of the Seas actually was supposed to be sold off to Pullmantur Cruises in 2021. She had her final sail date and everything. She was set to leave the Royal Caribbean fleet in 2021 in the spring. But of course, if you haven't been keeping up with everything going on, Pullmantur is actually filed for bankruptcy and they completely liquidated the company. So Pullmantur is non-existent anymore. All of their existing ships have been pretty much off to the scrapyard. Sovereign and Monarch are already there. Pullmantur Horizon is on its way. So that's a little bit of sad to see, but of course with Grandeur of the Seas supposed to be going over there, Royal Caribbean has decided to keep her within the fleet, which is really good to hear, instead of just her being tossed off to, the scrapyard or wherever. So we don't get a lot of news these days where somebody's actually keeping a ship. Usually it's somebody's like, oh, we sold something, this is off to the scrapyard. So it's good to see that they're keeping a ship. It seems like Royal Caribbean is trying to hold on to their ships as long as they can, especially their older ones. Like Empress of the Seas and Majesty of the Seas are very old ships, but there has been some rumors and speculation that they're going to leave the fleet and being sold for scrap or being sold somewhere else. And every time those have come up, because they've come up multiple times, Royal Caribbean was actually pretty quick to be like, no, that's not happening. So that's really cool to see that they're hanging on to ships. I think the reason Carnival is because they have so many ships in their umbrella of Carnival Corporation. They had well over 100 ships whenever this all started, so it's a lot more expensive to keep so many ships in your fleet when you're not making any money. So with her staying in the fleet, she currently, before all this started, she was sailing out of Baltimore and was going to be replaced by Enchantment of the Seas. But we don't have any word if she's going to stay up in Baltimore and Enchantment is going to go elsewhere, or if Enchantment is still going to take over in Baltimore whenever the spring of 2021 comes around, when they were supposed to swap. Maybe Grandeur will go somewhere else. That we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see what they do with that. But yeah, that's about all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. Pretty much, it kind of turned out to be a Royal Caribbean fleet update on a couple ships, or construction updates and stuff like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought down below. What are your thoughts on Wonder of the Seas, Odyssey of the Seas? What are your thoughts on Grandeur of the Seas staying in the fleet? Let me know down below. If you liked the video, click that thumbs up button and subscribe down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.